we're just going to be on here for a few minutes just to get people to be introduced to you. And, you know, you and I, we go back like 40 years and, you know, we are so direct and raw and real. And that's what I love about you. You know, you keep it real. And I think we've always connected. Just so the audience know, Eric and I have been friends probably for well over about 40 years now. And I met his late wife in college and we were just really good friends. So, you know, I am just honored that he's speaking.
It's not about thoughts and prayers all the time.
Okay. Look.
Sometimes you gotta roll up your sleeves and, you know, get to it, because I've had people in my life that it's always, oh, we're praying for you, we're praying for you. But it's like, okay, you know, I just, you know, you need practical, hands-on intervention a lot of times.
Correct. So. And, you know, I know, you know, we both have had some issues with church hurt. And these are things that we need to talk about. And the reason why we need to talk about it is because it's real. And I have found who my real friends are. And when you know, here's something about people only accept you if you align with their narrative.
Right.
And if you don't rock the boat. As long as you believe what they believe, do as they do, they love you dearly. But as soon as you start questioning or bucking the system or thinking with this thing that God gave us, he gave us our mental capacities to think.
Right.
That's when people start to pull away from you. You know, and I'm going to say this. I believe in God, just like you believe in God. I just don't believe in the church.
Right. Big
difference. That took a lot for me to say that. It took a long time for me to even admit that, because it's not nice. It's not right to say. There's a lot of control and manipulation and deceit in our beliefs. And we have to get to a point of being authentic and knowing ourselves. When life happens, that's when you start bucking the system. That's when you become real, true to yourself. I mean, we've known each other, like I said, 40 years. And you literally, like you said, you actually walked through and did things and planned your life the way you thought the world taught you. You know, what you thought to do. Go to college, get married, have these kids, And then what happened? And you didn't discover who you really genuinely were and what was important to you until life happened.
Right. That's true.
You know? So I think we need to start flipping the script as far as raising children. Let's tell them to be themselves. Let's teach them to be themselves, whatever and whoever that is, and stop allowing the world to dictate and say what's right and wrong about how whoever lives the way their truth.
You know, it's funny how you say that, because my kids, you know, have educated me. They've seen everything that I've gone through, you know, and how I've adjusted my life and my position now towards the church or the churches. And they're telling me that, Dad, this isn't, something's not right here. We don't believe in all of this stuff. You know, we believe in God, but there is there's things just don't feel right with me. And I'm 100% in support of them. I mean, they're great kids. And I think we have to experience, we have to go through it in order to come to the realization that, you know, what you spoke of. It's very, very important. We just can't just sit in a room and just, you know, think these things up. We have to experience it. There's got to be a catalyst to make us flip that switch to really understand it.
Correct. You know, we're going to continue this just a little bit longer, because I think it's so powerful to have a man on here talking about this. And I want to say this because I was so wounded in the church, just like you were. There is so much divisiveness teaching in the church that we think is unifying. And if people sit back and think about all of the dividing and divisive things inside of the church, and I'm not putting the church down per se. What I'm saying is that what we experience and what we live is not what's being taught. In other words, you're talking the talk, but not walking the walk. Where is the love? You know, Eric, I want you to touch on something, if you don't mind. You know, you talked about, or you and I talked offline about being in the church and someone came to your job.
Oh, yes.
Talk about that situation,
Okay,
please.
first of all, let's bring this. When I say church, I'm necessarily organized religion, because again, I grew up Catholic. My late wife, grew up Christian Scientist, and we went to about, I don't know, about 4 or 5 different denominational faith-based churches, and it's basically the same thing all across the board. So it's that organized religion where the people in and of themselves, the parishioners, we got along with great, but it's that leadership. They have that motive. It's a business. Years ago, I was working in Pasadena. I was a fund manager, and I wanted to take a class to get a designation. And this designation required, it was 3 exams for 7 years. It was a really big exam that I needed to take. So I wanted to go to a class at USC to prepare for the first exam. Unfortunately, that exam or that class was on a Wednesday night. Wednesday night, we had our midweek service. Okay. So I couldn't miss midweek service. I had to go to midweek service. So I couldn't go to this class. But I said, okay, wait a minute. There's what is called a Kids Kingdom midweek service, where parents would volunteer to watch the kids while people went to church. So I said, well, you know what? I'll become a volunteer to watch the kids on that Wednesday night. And then I had someone replace me. I said, hey, can you take my spot in Kids Kingdom? They're, yeah, not a problem. So it allowed me some free time to go to this. That's the length that I had to go to get an approval to take a class, okay, on a Wednesday night, to miss midweek service. Pastor found out. Pastor drove up to Pasadena.
To your job.
To my job. Took me out to lunch. I knew what he was there for. I knew exactly, but I played dumb. I said, hey, let's go. Yeah, so I heard you're taking this class. Is it required? I go, no, it's not required. It's just a designation that I'd like to have, increase my marquee value in my job. And he goes, well, what about service? I go, well, I'm not, someone else is taking my place in Kids Kingdom. So, well, bro, that's unacceptable. I forbid you to do this. You forbid me to do this.
Yeah.
So that made me even more determined to do this. And I came home to my wife and I said, this is what happened. Okay. And again, she was a sweet woman. My wife was an angel, and she knew what was going on. And she says, yeah, no. And she basically backed me up. Yeah. And she told them, she goes, the harder that you push him, the harder that the more he's falling away, the more that he's going away.
Correct. And that's one thing. People push when it comes to church, and then they push upon and prey upon people who don't have the backbone to say no. Right. And then when you have the backbone to say no, you're the problem.
Right.
You're the problem. So, I hope people get to their own truth. Live your own truth. Stop living in other people's expectations. Anybody who hearing me speak, you hear me say, I don't have any expectations of anyone. I have requirements, and the requirements are what I can control. I have no expectation because I have no control over what other people do. So, Eric, I just want to thank you for being a summit speaker and